Welcome back here on the campus of Florida Panhandle Technical College. Finding ourselves today in the cabinet making program. Here right now with Annette Lanham. We have we talk about computers being part of our everyday life. They drive our cars nowadays. They run our microwave ovens, and they do everything in between. Here right now, we're looking at a CNC machine. It's a programmable wood carving machine, a router for lack of a better term, but computer controlled. When we come back, we're going to talk to Annette about the opportunities afforded by such a machine going forward in technology, in business, in the retail end of things, the importance of the computer controlled, the computer design when you start using CAD or computer aided design, and how that plays a role in the woodworking aspect of business as we are looking at today. We'll be right back. Welcome back. As mentioned, our guest today is Annette Lanham. Thanks for taking the time. I know you hate doing these things, but I tell you, you're the one that has been using this machine every time I've come around. To start at the beginning, Annette, tell us a little something about yourself and your history as a student here at the school.
Well, I originally came about 3 years ago. I started in the electrical program. I came because I saw a news clip about the solar program that had just got installed here, and I came asking about it as part of electrical. We don't really have the solar program was given to us by Gulf Power, but it wasn't built into the curriculum yet. But I went ahead and took electrical wiring for that, and I got interested in carpentry. So once I completed that, I moved over to carpentry, and then into cabinet making, because you have to go through the carpentry process before you're allowed or judged by the instructor to be able to move into cabinet making. And so that's something that I've really found that I like because of the intricacy and the level of detail in it. So we had the CNC machine here, but there wasn't any student that had either A, shown an interest, or B, had the technical abilities to dedicate the time to it. So it was something that I grabbed a hold of and just really found interesting. And just here in the last couple of weeks, we've really come on board with me sitting down and taking the time and learning and reading all the tutorials, and then running test patterns to see what the capabilities are. And we moved from, you can see some of our scrap projects here, but we've just moved from actual scrapping projects to 3D projects here, and that's what we're working on right now. But the application for it is pretty endless. When you see these intricate bowls and stuff carved, the man hours that it would take to do that physically would just be cost prohibitive for anybody. But when you can computerize it and mechanize it, then the production level goes up and it will help the cost go down. But there is some still finesse that goes into it, and being able to sand it and finish it and make a presentable product that someone would want to use. The interesting thing about this is, yes, we're using it in cabinet making, but this design that you see here and this design you see here was a collaboration between cabinet making and Kim Shaw's class. The students over there, we went and gave them, we need a picture of an apple. So they found one, they put it into Adobe Illustrator, made it a vector file, which is what we require. They brought it over to us, we tweaked it a little bit to make what we needed to do in our software, and then we were able to run it. So it was a joint project, and it enabled those students to see what an end product could be. Because a lot of times they sit there at the desk and they turn out these computer-generated images, but they have no idea of what's happening with them beyond that point. So when we brought the students back over that helped us with the apple, they were really excited to see the end product and then start to understand what their training over there can do for them in the production world.
You and your husband Tim have sort of been poster children, for lack of a better term, for the programs here. Both of you veterans, both of you taking advantage of some of that VA money to be able to get better educated, some for your own personal edification, but going forward, obviously lots of opportunities to use that in the job market. You, as you pointed out, took the electrical program. That's when we first ran into you here on campus. Right. Moved through the carpentry and now cabinet making. The best part of this process that we're looking at now with the CNC machine, I would think, is that repetitive factor. You can make that same item over and over again, right. Exactly the same. In this case, we're dealing with wood, but very similar to the cultured marble business or the natural stone business, where you're using these type of machines to make countertops and tub surrounds and that sort of thing, or in the metal business, metal industries where you're making all sorts of machinings, same way, computer controlled, and that's the unifying factor or the common element is that computer controlled. Looking at behind us here, you actually, as you point out, take that vector image and feed it into the machine. We like to think that computers completely free us up as people. That couldn't be farther from the truth. Obviously,
No.
Watching you through this process, very important that you're watching it, you're clearing away dust, you're doing a lot of the things which aren't necessarily able to be mechanized in this setting. However, in a mass production setting, you would have those machines that blow away the waste product or the dust. We do have the machines that are constantly taking tolerances and doing that quality control, so it does literally free you up to do anything except sit in an air-conditioned booth with that computer. What a drag, though. How boring can that be to be sitting doing it? You seem to enjoy both sides of it. You enjoy the computer part of it as well as the hands-on part, obviously evidenced by the other classes you've taken here.
But part of the challenge for me is, can I figure out how to do it? That to me, that's the biggest challenge, and it's been that way across the board for my life, regardless of if it was a crafting project, or if it was building a cabin, or if it was, wiring up a solar system at our house. It's can I figure out how to do it and then apply that technology to something that is going to benefit me or my family or ultimately the community, because part of mine and my husband's philosophy is, what good is the knowledge if we have it if we don't share it? And so that we tend to be very generous and open with our knowledge, and just like I'm excited to show this to somebody who shows an interest in it. I won't be a student here forever. My days are winding down, but I don't want this just to sit here idle. I want to find somebody else who has a passion for it and then pick it up, and then what can we do for the school? What images can we do? What production pieces can we do for here around the school and the campus, and ultimately throughout the school system? And the ultimate goal is to save money for the taxpayers and in the school system. So it's wide ranging on what you can do with this knowledge.
Hold this and don't move your feet.
I can move everything but my feet.
I'll give you that now. So don't go far.
Yeah, don't go far.
When we look at applications such as this CNC machine, we can obviously encompass other programs here of the over 40 degree and certification programs currently available at the school. First comes to mind is drafting. Obviously, they do everything from house plans to designing the space shuttle and everything in between. And so in this case, using their services to, again, draw those vector shapes, to design and then ultimately draw these pieces so that you, in this case in wood, can then produce those. Within the last year or so, we've had a name change here at the school. This was the old VOTEC. It was the old Washington Holmes Technical Center, originally a co-project between Holmes and Washington County. Washington County pretty much handles all of the day-to-day now, and we've had a name change to Florida Panhandle Technical College. You personally, you've been here during that name change. You started here when we were a technical center, the old VOTEC. You're not fresh out of high school, so your ego is not as fragile as maybe a younger person would be. But I can't help but think, I know I'm personally proud as a member of the community that we're now a technical college. What, if any, impact has that name change had on you and the way you look at the fact that you're attending classes here?
Well, I think it's all a public perception. When you have the VOTEC image, what brings to mind in my high school days was these were the kids that they weren't really interested in schoolwork and bookwork. It was busy work for them, and they were excited to get out, and they were hands-on learners. And that's still the image that I carry today. It is still an accurate image. A lot of folks here at what used to be VOTEC and is now as a technical college, it's a hands-on scenario. It's for people who, there are some classes where you sit and it's a lot of bookwork and a lot of technical computer work, but it's also, the application for that really does turn into a hands-on project. When drafting designs a set of plans and brings them to us, then we turn around and produce that in a 3D image or in a 3D product, and then we can take it back to them. Just several weeks ago, we took a field trip up to a company in Hartford, And there were 3 drafting students that I recognized that used to be on campus, and I was fascinated with the CNC machines that they had, because then I learned, as I talked to the CNC guys, the draftsman would give them the product, would give them the computer part of it, but then it was the CNC guys that would put it in their own software and tweak it to what they needed to make the metal work that they were cutting actually meet customer standards. So yes, we've been through a name change, and it's a technical college, and I think sometimes name changes are done for name changes, but in our case I think it's a benefit because we do have so many technical hands-on programs that we can get involved in. You know, we've got a plasma cutter over in welding. If there's a welding student that shows a lot of promise and a lot of tech, they can do the same thing in metal. We've got the one here in carpentry up and running. They're bringing on a new program over in electrical, specifically in an engineering capability, or in a manufacturing capability, to move our students into what the workforce is looking for. So it's a great opportunity for anybody to come, and like you said, I'm not fresh out of high school. I've been around the block a day or two. Take advantage of the opportunities and the low cost of the programs that are here. When you compare the cost of this to the cost of Chipola or Gulf Coast, I could not have stayed on this campus for 3 years using my GI Bill funding. I couldn't have stayed on those campuses because of the cost difference. And so it's just a tremendous asset to the community. It's a tremendous asset to the abilities that it provides for me to have the knowledge that I desire to learn.
Yeah, currently with over 40 degree and certification programs, going back to the old VOTEC, welding, automobile repair, culinary, some of the older crafts and trades, now with the cutting edge, cybersecurity, the brand new drone program, unmanned vehicle system program starting up this fall, all of the corrections, law enforcement, fire EMS, drafting, new audio production program, on and on. The opportunity, not that we compete with a 4-year college, but the opportunity for somebody who doesn't have the ability to afford nor wants to sit through 4 years of college, only to come out with $120,000 worth of school debt and move back in with mom and dad because they're really not trained to do anything. In this case, within a year, to be able to have a real well-paid job. In your case, personal gratification, personal edification. However, again, knowing your husband and yourself, you're going to be using these skills right along, and who knows,
Absolutely.
You may have the opportunity to put some of that into use in a job scenario.
Absolutely. The job scenario is always out there. Neither Tim nor I are looking for a second vocation after we retired from the military, but we're not ruling that out. If something comes along and it's of interest and it's something I already have a basis in and have some skill sets in, I would be more than happy to walk in and help a small business, because that's what we like to support is the small businesses. But I'm not looking for a full-time job, and I certainly don't want to take that from anybody who is, but in today's world, not a lot of folks are looking for full-time help. They're looking for maybe job production. We're ramping up for this certain job, ramp up. Okay, I'm okay when that job's over. I'll go back home. I still have some income coming in. I'm not really dependent upon I got to find a job. And that's what makes it a little more freeing for me and for Tim as well during that. But the vocational skills that you learn here and the technical skills that you learn here can carry over to so many different areas.
Again, I know that you're a little reluctant to participate in these conversations, but it's very important that we get that viewpoint from an older adult who comes into this program, whether to retool their life. They've either gotten downsized, nice way of saying they lost their job, gone through a divorce and therefore need a career where before maybe they were a stay-at-home mom or even dad, all the way up to the people such as yourself, retiring from one profession, in your case the military, moving on, trying to get some more education, tirelessly always trying to improve yourself. So you fit one of those niches, obviously. We appreciate you participating. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
Well, you're welcome, Paul. And as you were saying that, I happen to think, if you've gone through one of those life-changing events, if you come up here, this is a business you can still do at home and still raise your kids. If you get a loan and there's some programs available, if you get the startup equipment and the startup money, this is something that you can do at home, still raise your family using the values that you choose to, and still have an income coming in. So there's some variables in there that everybody could take advantage of.
Thanks again for talking to us.
You're welcome.
Here right now with Annette Lanham in the Cabinetmaking Department of Florida Panhandle Technical College. At this moment, looking at the CNC woodworking machine, basically a router that has been connected to a computer, but with the opportunity to duplicate parts through the use of vector images or plans having been drawn up on a computer. Just one of the over 40 degree and certification programs available right here at Florida Panhandle Technical College. If you want to retool your life, our motto is a career in a year, the opportunity within a year generally to get a well-paid job in the real world. We'll be right back.